So welcome to Conversations with LaDonna. This is in association with Fire Media, and this is for the Peachtree Village International Film Festival, Part 2. So my guest today is Tracy Baker Simmons and Wanda Shelley. We're going to talk to them about their projects and their company and their involvement with the Peachtree Village International Film Festival. So welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
So nice to have you guys here. Yeah, no problem. It's so nice to have you guys here to get a chance to get to know you. I do want to congratulate you guys because you're being honored at the Peachtree Village Film Festival for receiving the Peachtree Village International Film Festival 2020 Generational Barrier Breaker Award. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do believe this is coming from you guys were groundbreakers when it came to the show being Bobby Brown. Back in that time frame, this is something new for us, a reality show. So talk to us about the beginning of that show. How did that all start? Who created this idea?
Yeah, so basically, and one thing to reference to the award is that I have been working in the industry for over 25 years now, and started in music videos and commercials, and produce some of the big stars like Brandy and Monica and Immature and Nas and Montel Jordan and a lot of people's first music video. And at that time, we were the first like Black producer director partnership with a guy named Keith Ward that was producing that type of content out of Atlanta. Even we did Arrested Development's world premiere video, and then we went on to produce for Sprite with Pete Rock and CL Smooth and MC Shannon Karras one. Like we launched the Obey Your Thirst campaign. So the whole idea of Sprite and hip hop artists was birthed with us as director producer team. And then I worked on an independent film called The Book of Love. Wanda was one of my first investors. and then yeah, she's a risk taker, you know. And then after that, I came back to Atlanta. I had moved to LA for a while, came back to Atlanta, and then Wanda, who is also my best friend, agreed to partner with me to start. At first, the company was B Squared Entertainment, and then we ultimately transitioned to call it Simmons Shelley Entertainment. But under the name B Squared Entertainment, we both sort of like shared this idea of just like watching Bobby and Whitney make the local news day in and day out for a speeding ticket or
I remember that.
rearresting because he parole violations. It was just like, what did they do tonight? It's like the 11 o'clock news. And so from that, just sort of thinking like, I think I mentioned to her, or we were discussing it like, oh, they would be a good reality show. And then we started talking about reality shows because at that time, I think the only show that could have been anything that we could like sort of wrap our head around them doing was similar to the Osbournes.
Oh, yes.
They were a show. And so we both, initially, I think when we spoke to our attorneys, they were just like, that'll never happen. And one thing I can say about Wanda, she's very competitive. I don't think she knows that she's and she was like, never gonna happen. Okay, well, don't tell us that. Yeah. So because neither one of us knew then. So then she was just like, you know, she comes from a very corporate background. She was in pharmaceutical sales before deciding to be my partner. But she was this like, look, 6 degrees of separation. We can find them. And she was like, and look, I'm from the A, girl. I don't think I in touch with him.
I love it.
Because people from Atlanta, honey, they got Atlanta on lock.
I'm from the ATL. Yes.
You can't ever say, if you say to somebody from Atlanta that it's somebody in Atlanta, they be like, I'm from the A, we got
Yeah.
this. So we literally were 1 degree of separation from him because we made a phone call to someone and they put us in contact with a guy who was supposed to be their spiritual advisor or something, and that led us to meeting his brother, um, who then reluctantly at first, and I'll let Wanda tell that part of the story, but ultimately decided to allow us to speak to Bobby and then pitch him the idea of him really doing a show initially, with the understanding of the possibility of the other pieces like Whitney and the rest of his family being a part of the show.
Okay.
Wanda,
And
you
Wanda.
Yeah, and just, and I want to give a few little bit more details because I really want people to understand how, 15 years ago, we were really resourceful. So we didn't just pick up a phone and call anybody. We actually saw his spiritual advisor and his attorney on television. And we were
Wow.
very strategic as we were having our daily Bobby Brown call, like, hey, to get to this guy, who do we go through? Which one should we pick? And then we both concluded, because Tracy and I are very similar minded, which is why our partnership really, really worked, I think. And we were like, well, there's nothing in it for the attorney, so that's probably not going to work. Right. So we said, we should call this spiritual advisor and see, if he thinks this is a great idea, if he could link us. All we did was they had his name on the television and even what church he was associated. So Tracy figured out the number to the church and just made a phone call and,
Wow.
come back to the guy, and it kind of went from there. And then when Tracy takes the meeting with Tommy, he falls asleep on her like 3 times. His eggs got cold. She was busy sending it back, being the caretaker and nurturer that she is. Oh, his eggs are going to get cold. Can you take them back and warm them up again? So they brought his eggs back like 3 times.
Wow.
And then when she finally pitched it, and he was like, hell no. And then she was like, look, I didn't come up here and watch you sleep.
Right.
The egg back 3 times just to get a hell no. We got to talk about this a little bit further. And after them communicating and him really talking about Bobby and just saying that my brother is an Aquarius, he's misunderstood. And, Tracy connected to that. And she was kind of like, well, he's kind of already living out a reality show on the news every day. And the world doesn't know that he's misunderstood. So here's a great opportunity for people to get to see him, as a brother, a father, a husband, a friend, ever how we're going to portray him so the world might see him the way you guys do.
Yeah, that's great that you guys, overcame any of those obstacles and made sure all that went through. That's a nice backstory thank you for sharing that, because we just saw it on TV and had no idea what it took to do that. I think I saw a video when I was doing a little research on you guys. When you reached out to him, he was like, can you come now? It was like spur of the moment. And you were like, what now? So talk about that.
Well, yeah, basically, we were supposed to be meeting with him like on a Tuesday. He was incarcerated, of course, at the time. So we were having much conversations going back and forth with his brother, Tommy. And so Tommy is like, okay, he's going to get out on a Tuesday. He wants to meet with you guys. He's interested. So you guys can kind of pitch him, telling your ideas, what you want to do. And Tuesday is the meeting. So we're excited. We're getting prepared for the meeting, hoping for the best, of course, because we're still resourceful. So we're tracking him at this point.
Yeah.
And we look up on the news and found out he not only got out, he was actually extradited to Boston. I think they were child support charges, if I remember correctly.
Oh my
And then Tracy's calling Tommy like, you said we were going to have a meeting on Tuesday with him. And he said, hey, be easy, be easy. We didn't know, we didn't anticipate that he was going to have to go to Boston and deal with these child support charges or what have you. And so then, Wednesday comes along, we're still kind of like tracking it, seeing what's going on. And now he's incarcerated in Boston, right? And so then on Thursday, I'll never forget, it was a Thursday because it changed my whole life. On Thursday, he calls, we're standing in her office just chatting up, and he goes, hey, if you girls, and I'll never forget girls, I think that's why we hate the word girls, huh?
Right, right.
So if you girls are really serious about doing a show with me, get here now.
Wow.
So then Tracy goes, okay, so Wanda, I got to deal with legal. We got to make sure he's signed, sealed, and delivered. So you need to go get your camera team, your little audio team. She gave me a little list, and you're going to get on a plane today, and you're going to meet Bobby. And I go, I don't know how to produce. What are you talking about? I'm not going to. What are you talking about? No. You know how to produce. You know how to do it. You can do it. You'll be fine. And of course, I got on a plane and I went. And, definitely with her, giving me play-by-play. Okay, make sure you do this, do that, her little list and things of that nature. And it just went from there, and I learned how to produce.
That's wonderful. You're just doing it.
She forgot to say that. She said, you're sending me to Boston with Bobby Brown, who we don't really know. And I yeah, but you're going with 2 camera guys and sound. I think it'll be fine. Just don't stay on the same floor with him at the hotel. And then she goes, what are we shooting? I said, whatever he does. I told
Just turn the cameras on and go.
He does, shoot it, and we're going to figure it out later. And call me every day and tell me what he's doing. And I was like, let's just do it. And she was like, it was funny because she never said she never asked me if I knew what I was doing. I want to say our investor, I do remember this afterwards. I was saying something to our investor, and I was like, and besides, I never did a reality show before. And he goes, wait a minute, you took $1 million of my money and you didn't know what you was doing. And I said, no, yeah, actually I did. I'm sorry.
I love it. You guys had an idea, you went for it, and that just shows determination. That shows, so much that people that are going to watch this, because a lot of attendees are going to be watching this video. And this is just for those who want to go out in this industry and make it happen. You just have to go for it. You just have to do it. And just, if you have any challenges along the way, you just push through those. Now, how hard or challenging was it to get Miss Whitney involved?
So we were filming with Bobby alone. He was in Boston with his brother. Well, I think his brother went back there. But honestly, when he came back, we, because I still hadn't met him. Like, he was there with Wanda for 4 days or so. And when he came back, we had him at we were like, hey, do you want to meet us at the Hyatt? We had insight that they loved that hotel, and they liked the penthouse, so we rented the penthouse.
Wow.
And at that point too, I really needed to pitch him the show, because if you think about it, we're speaking to him the whole time in prison, just saying we want to do a reality show. So during that 4 days, every day Wanda's calling me going, this is what happened. This is how he responds with his kids. This is how he responds with his brother. This is how he is around people. Like, oh girl, he loves people. He can't stop talking to strangers. I'm telling him to come on and things like that. So she's giving me all this insight so I could develop the idea, because we still had not really pitched or knew exactly what the show was. So when he came and I met with him, and I just said, I had watched a film called Being John Malkovich. And when Wanda and I discussed it, she was like, yeah, because why do all those people like him? Like, why do his kids? What is it that these people find in him? So I was like, oh, we could call it Being Bobby Brown, like Being John Malkovich. And she was like, oh, okay. So we were like, and then we'll show the different pieces of him as a man, like the different pieces of a man. And so when he came, I pitched him that, and he was like, I love the title. My label was called Triple B, so that's dope. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Check. He likes the title. And then we're at the hotel, and he goes, oh, he's on the phone and with Whitney, and we could overhear her. And he's like, yeah, I'm here with my producers. And she's like, producers? What producers? And he goes, I told you I was doing a reality show. And she's like, you're doing, we could hear her going, you're doing what? And then she's like, I'm on my way. So she comes to the hotel, and we're just like okay, Whitney Houston's going to come and there's going to be this big conversation and who knows what this is going to turn into, but we're comfortable to say maybe if you could have a couple of guest appearances, that works for us, and we'll figure it out from there. But when she arrived and she got off the elevator and we both are sort of just standing there like almost like two little girls because it was Whitney Houston, right?
Right,
And
right.
she goes, "Hi, ladies, I'm Whitney."
What a
Whitney
great
Houston,
story.
actually, sweetie.
Right.
And then she told the camera guys to come on, and we were like, "Whoa, she's telling us to come on, like we can film." So we filmed them seeing each other for the first time, and you know, his daughter and all of this stuff. And then we were just like, he said to her, you don't really have to be in it that much or whatever. And she was like, "Excuse me, I am Miss Whitney Houston Brown." And we were like, "Did we just get Whitney Houston?" And then we were just like, and then Wanda goes, "You better call the lawyers."
Yeah.
And there was, we were making a show with Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston.
Wow. See, that's some good insight to know. That's something that I don't think too many people knew. I thought it came together like that. It was a package from the beginning, so it just happened.
Yeah, because basically, you know, we were so like what we felt about her, like she was like our princess. She was so regal. She was so like poised, like all these things. So really, we just figured that there had to be something more to Bobby than what we were seeing on the news every single day. So we just was like, okay, Whitney is, you know, like one of us. So why would she want Bobby based off what we're seeing on the news every day? So I think we just felt like there had to be something more to him than what we were hearing about. So we wanted to really, really, I mean, I think we just thought we really wanted to get to know him. We wanted to see who is this dude that she is so in love with. And, you know, she thinks the world of, and you know, you could see how she would gaze into his eyes. We wanted to know that dude because we didn't think it was that dude that we were seeing on the 5 o'clock and the 11 o'clock news every day. So she was part of our motivation from the sense of wanting to get to know him. And that's why it was more like, it was about Bobby. It was being Bobby Brown. And to Tracy's point, you know, we were kind of innocent coming into it, but we were smart enough business women to know like, okay, that's a whole big machine. We're really not trying to mess with that machine because our interest really is him. But we didn't really think about the fact that they really, at that time in their relationship, they viewed themselves as a package.
Nice, nice. That's very interesting. So we wanted to get to know Bobby, and in lieu of getting to know Bobby, Whitney came on board. Very interesting. So there, I think about probably 11 episodes. Do you guys have a favorite from those 11 that you like the most? You like them? I can't hear you.
I think my favorite episode is London, which was, I can't remember, it was episode 3. But it was interesting because I worked in the music business and worked in marketing and promotions, and you know, seeing artists like Prince and just big stars, but probably they weren't as big during that time because this was in the like late 80s, early 90s. But when we were there, it was like people camped outside of the hotel, like to see her, just wanting to see her. And then at that point you really saw, because you saw them in their superstar element, because there are people who knew Bobby and people who knew Whitney, but like on two different spectrums, and you really saw them in this element, but you also saw the difference in them. Like Bobby wanted to go to Brixton and Whitney was not wanting to go to Brixton and not feeling comfortable in Brixton. And then you saw the Prince father, the guy who owned Harrods, like in love with her. Like their son came, the prince of another country, their kid came to have dinner with her. Like you just knew like that was like not that we didn't know she was Whitney Houston, but there was also a comfort level, and like a comfort you get when you're working with people in this space, and you sometimes forget because everybody becomes comfortable.
Right.
Then you were like, oh crap, we're with Whitney Houston. Like she's a star around the world. And that was like, and it was fun. Like it was a fun trip, and they were funny, and we had a good time with them, and all of those things too. And the shopping thing was fun and funny, and it was just like a whole space of like getting to know that she's this mega star, but then she was also the person that woke up before any of us and fed all the kids, including our children. And when we got up, we're like, where are our kids? And Whitney's like, I got those kids and took them to breakfast and everything, and now they're swimming because y'all just want to sleep. And we're like, are you Houston or not?
That's nice. That's nice. Wanda, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think she's right. London wasn't great, but I would say that really for me, the whole series was kind of my favorite from the sense of, like Tracy said, like you got to see this human side of both of them. Like you got to see Bobby really interacting with his kids. You got to see him and Whitney interacting with each other. So as opposed to me picking an episode, I'm just going to tell you guys one of my favorite behind the scene moment
Oh, that'd be
of
nice.
the series. And because like Tracy said, they were so like normal and down to earth for me, and I think Tracy too, based on how she responded that day as well. You kind of forgot, oh, okay, this is Whitney, the AT&T True Voice, and this is Bobby, the king, as he called himself. You forgot who they were. They were just like, at some point they really kind of became like our friends. It was just like family. Bobby was known as Uncle Bobby to our kids, and Whitney was known as Auntie Nippy or what have you. And Chrissy would call us aunties and things of that nature. So we were shooting in New York, and Whitney had invited the whole crew to their home in New Jersey, which really was very private to them. They really didn't often have people in that home. And honestly, we didn't really go to New York thinking we were really even going to her New Jersey home, and as much as we were in New York and filming some other things. And she wanted not just myself and Tracy, she was like, no, the whole crew, come over. And she kept calling us all day. We were like, we're coming. And she was like, well, when are you going to get here? We was like, we're on our way. So we pull up to the house, and she's standing at the door, just like your down-to-earth girlfriend. Can't wait till you come see my new crib, come to my home. And so she pulls me and Tracy in, come on, let me give you guys the tour. And we're walking through her home, which was amazing. And she takes us downstairs. Now, downstairs is where all the awards, the gowns, and by now we're like in tears because we're like, oh my God, you really are Whitney Houston.
It's proof.
Yeah, because we had forgotten because she was just that around the way girl. And I remember she had this shoe in a case. It was a Jordan shoe, I think, right, Tracy, where Jordan had signed. And she was like hinting to us like girlfriends, like, it's from Jordan, now it's from Jordan. And Bobby was like, I hear you. So that was my favorite, like, behind the scene moment with them.
Yeah. And that was funny too, because it was like, we're like, oh my God, it was funny because I think we actually said to her, you're Whitney Houston, right? She's like, yes, I know, I'm Whitney Houston, And then we were like, but what, Bobby, why are you frying chicken in Whitney Houston's house? Like, this is not supposed to be happening. You got flour everywhere. This ain't adding up for us, It was like really like, that was a very, very good, a good moment for us. I mean, we had lots of good moments with them, but that was like, woo.
Yeah.
It was so special because like, Whitney and Bobby cooked for us. Like there was fried chicken, there was fried shrimp, there was all this food, and they did it for us and our team. Even our team was sitting like, okay, we can eat. And they was like, yeah, we cooked all this food for you guys. So it was really, really special because, I mean, And even just thinking about it now, like, oh my God, Bobby and Whitney cooked for us.
Right, right. You have that moment. That's very nice that you guys have that moment. And because of that show, it allowed us to see Whitney in a different way because we all had her up as a princess, which she is, but we got to see her as a homegirl, like she's one of us. So that was so nice of you guys to have that project and for us as viewers to get opportunity to have a little bit of her in a different light. So we appreciate you guys for doing that truly. So I understand during the festival that you guys are going to show some clips that have not been seen before. So can you give us a little insight as to what those clips are going to be about?
Actually, I think that what they actually wanted to do was show clips from from the first 2 episodes from the premiere. More so than behind the scenes, because I think it was more like they wanted people to remember the show and like highlights. So we sent them actually the highlights more so, like with Bobby chasing or being chased by a shoe. I think he thought the shoe was chasing him. And then them in the bathroom, which is I will say the most misunderstood scene. When she's talking about him and the finger up the butt or something, because people think that that was happening in real time, but she was actually really explaining something that happened when she was in labor.
Oh, okay.
But because they're in the bathroom and Whitney's sitting on, she's not using the toilet. She's sitting on the toilet because I think the girl's doing her makeup in the bathroom, and he comes in the bathroom, and people dismiss that one little word that she says was just remember. Your finger up my butt when I was in labor.
Oh, the in labor part was missed.
Yeah. It's so funny because he's like, and remember when they were in the bathroom together and she said he could stick his finger around. I'm like, what? When did that happen? No, that did not happen on our show. Stop it.
Wow. So that's nice. That's nice. So everybody gets to see those episodes. Now you guys work with the Houstons on other projects as well, correct?
With the family, yes. And Bobby Christina, God rest her soul. But yeah.
Yeah. So, how was it for you guys being able to work with the family, the Houstons, and you did Bobby Christina? How was that for you guys working with them?
Because of being Bobby Brown, her sister-in-law Patricia Houston, we already had a relationship with her because she was kind of help facilitate a lot of the things as it related to getting the paperwork and things of that nature signed off with being Bobby Brown. So we already had a relationship with her from that. And like I said, these people became family to us. So even in between that project and the Houston, which came along in 2012, which was some years later, there were family dinners, there were birthdays, there were celebrations, there were cookouts. So we were still very much in each other's lives. And actually, with the Houstons, oddly enough, we had been talking to Pat and Whitney about doing a project around Whitney, and her family. And sadly, the weekend, they had to go to the Grammys. So that weekend was kind of out. And sadly, the weekend that we had chose that we were all going to meet together, Tracy was actually going to fly to Atlanta because all of us were based here and she was in New York. The weekend that we had planned to meet is the weekend that actually we all were in New York in Newark and laying her to rest. So, and as a result of that, Tracy and I was, just kind of like, well, now it's just somber. So, didn't know how we felt about the show or what have you. But her family was still very much like, she wanted to do it. It was just formalities. We were going to come together, talk about the details, some of the storylines and things of that nature. So because of that, they wanted to continue on with the project. And for myself and Tracy, just being even more transparent, respected the fact that, regardless as to what maybe other people thought, everybody has their own way of healing, their process of healing. And some people, and what I know and do respect about Pat is Pat is one of those people, like, she throws herself into work, you know, she goes into work mode. I would say she's already probably a workaholic, but you know, when she's going through different things, you know, she goes into work, which is very common, I think, for, you know, women in particular.
Yeah.
And then for Christina, Bobby Chrissy, you know, this was her world. Like, that was her mom. She was her mother's only child. And yes, though she had siblings through her father, but they still had their mother. So they could never understand what it was that Chrissy was feeling and going through, because that wasn't their journey right then now. And we didn't want them to try to understand, but you know, Chrissy was really, it was a lot for her. So Tracy and I, we weren't just, it wasn't just about a show for us. We were really, really worried about this young woman who we thought of as our niece. So we wanted, we, you know, in knowing what we knew about her and her family, we knew, like, Bobby is the same way. He works too, to work through issues and things of that nature. So what we thought was, you know, if the family really wants to go ahead and do it, maybe this is our way of building this village around Chrissy, keeping her busy, putting a team in place to support her. And I just have to give a shout out, if any of them are listening. That team that we put together to film the Houstons was, to this day, I'm getting chills. They are probably one of the most passionate, genuine, caring, kind production team that I have ever worked with in my 16 years of being in this business, because they looked after her. They worked overtime hours and did not charge us to sit with her, to comfort her. And, you know, she became family to them. They became vested, because everybody was genuinely concerned, because she lost her mom. And that was a huge loss for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You know, it's nice sometimes to hear some of the backstories on how things go, and um, to understand, and to understand the feeling behind different things and how people operate it. Because all we see is what comes on the TV, and it's so much more that goes on behind the scenes, and how people get connected with one another. And like you guys said, you became family, you know, and that's beautiful, and that you guys were there for her and was able to work through that with her in such a gentle way. What is next for you guys, and as far as projects are concerned?
So we still, you know, we still do partner. We still have Simmons and Shelley as a partnership together. Even though both of us work on different projects, because now, like Wanda said, I live in New York, or right outside of New York. But right now we're also like, we both, you know, we're older now. That was 15 years ago, and we're very interested in using our storytelling skills to also further bigger, broader stories, especially in social justice and other areas as well. So we have a project that we're working on that really is shedding a light on women of color who are killed by police violence and or domestic violence, and just sort of like humanizing those people, so that there is a bigger conversation about that, and it's not just one every 4 or 5 years that even gets mentioned. So that's a big passionate thing that we're like pushing forward, and we're out pitching right now. And then we're just working to also just develop other stories that provide a bit of a balance in the television space, where we show us in different ways, and like with the many layers of who and what we are as people of color, women. You know, Wanda has a huge platform that she's building around girls, and we're just digging in, like more biopics, because there are so many of our heroes and people whose stories have not been told. So we're definitely going into that arena more as well, and just looking out for really interesting things that sort of, even the opportunity to sort of approach another story in a verite style, which is what we did with me and Bobby Brown, like some natural authenticity, bringing that sort of back to the reality platform. Since we're pioneers in it and we started that, we want to show people how to get back to that type of storytelling as well.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Thank you guys. I look forward to seeing your projects that are coming up. Um, we're getting ready to go into the voting season. Do you have any words about voting that you would like to share?
Let Wanda go first.
But Tracy is certainly the political junkie of the two. Um, I have to have balance because it gives me anxiety.
Yeah,
But what I will say is that it's just really, really, really important that none of us sit this out, and just wanting to get back, in a sense, to a civilized world, but yet still wanting to push the needle forward with all the things that are on the agenda, as far as, finally confronting systemic racism, and not just confronting it, but, finally dealing with it and conquering it to a certain degree as well. And as any other things like the pandemic, I come from a science background. So it's just so many different things. Like, the world has, to me, changed in such a short time, in some instance for the good. These things had to happen. We had to discover and uncover in order to move forward. So for me, it's just so important. I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for or who not to vote for. I just think it's really, really important to use your vote as your voice. To just use it as your way of making a difference in a change, and in the change that you would like to see in the world.
absolutely. Thank you, Wanda.
Yeah, I mean, I ditto what she's saying. I had the honor to serve on a committee for the Obama administration in 2015, 2016, a media committee. So if you want to guess who I'm voting for. But more importantly, it's a narrative. Like, look, we tell stories, and when we're in the driver's seat as producers, we're controlling the narrative. And I think that we, especially as African Americans, we have an opportunity, especially in this one, to control and to create a new narrative, and actually place someone there who we can have a real conversation with, so that we can address things that really has gotten under our skin over these past 4 years, that may have been issues before, and we were just out here ignoring them or moving along because there was no noise or ruckus. But to really be able, and I think many of us, we as storytellers and producers, our other friends out here, we're all like, oh, okay, we're up next. This generation is up next, and we're ready. We're absolutely ready. And if you're listening and you haven't voted, please do so, and know that voting is the first step in the process, and there is a lot of work that will have to be done, and a lot of other lines that we will have to stand in, and agendas that we will have to push. But step one is to put somebody at that table that we're going to be able to talk to and make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. As definitely, guys, for those who are watching, it's important that you use your vote as your voice, for sure. Make sure you go out to the polls. We have early voting, so make sure you take advantage of that. I know you ladies have someplace else to go, so I want to thank you for your time. Do you have anything in conclusion that you'd like to share with the attendees? I know you guys are content creators, executive producers, and things of that nature. Would you like to share anything, a final tip maybe for someone who might be in the industry, since this is the Peachtree Village International Film Festival, that they may use in their career to be successful in this industry?
Well, one thing we want to do is say happy anniversary to the
Yes.
Peachtree Village International Film Festival, because they
Yes.
too are celebrating 15-year anniversary. So 15 is just a good number for everybody.
Yes.
So we want to say congratulations to them, and like, we're honored to be a part of this celebration. And then to all of you young creators out there, we want to say, like, just as our story is a story of two people who basically had an idea and just wouldn't take no for an answer. You too should be that, and you have lots more resources and platforms and everything else to grab a hold to really fight to get it out there. This is a dream business. It's like we are creating, we're making dreams come true. So don't be afraid. Like, it's possible for you too. We're out here to demystify it. We're both on Instagram and Twitter. We check our DMs. So I am T Baker Simmons on both of those platforms, and Wanda will share her handles. But we're out here, and you know what, we're like, honestly, we're very approachable too, and we definitely love to give advice to young people and encourage them. So don't be afraid to reach out to us, and just ask questions. But seriously, if this is your dream and where you want to be, don't give up on it. It's not impossible. It is just not. And we just like want to continue to encourage, especially young Black filmmakers, because there's so many stories of ours that need to be told, and our voices need to be a part of that process.
Absolutely. Wanda?
Yes, and of course I ditto everything that Tracy has said, so I'm going to keep mine pretty brief. I would just say create, and never give up. Never give up, because sometimes, a dream can be delayed for just a little bit. So it's so important to not give up, because if you give up and the dream is just delayed, then you don't get to fulfill or honor the dream. So this is definitely a business where I would say just continue to create and never give up. And as Tracy said, yes, we are very approachable. My Instagram handle is at Wanda Shelley, WandaShelley. And my Facebook is Wanda Shelley, my name as well. And Twitter is at Wanda Shelley.
Thank you, guys. Thank you both, Wanda and Tracy, for coming on today and sharing your journey with us and giving tips to the attendees that will be attending the Peachtree Village International Film Festival and giving us some behind the scenes information from the shows. That's always nice to hear. And again, thank you guys for what you're doing for the community, creating content for our people and putting a valuable and information out there and content out there that we can relate to. So I appreciate that. And it was a pleasure meeting both of you ladies. And I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future again. So this concludes the Peachtree Village International Film Festival portion of Conversations with LaDonna. I thank everyone that's watching. And for the attendees, make sure you go to the website and register for the panel discussions. There's a lot of panel discussions, a lot of screenings and workshops. So take advantage of this opportunity to get little nuggets from everybody and just stay tuned. I think it's October 29th through November 1st. So make sure you take advantage of everything that's presented to you. Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Bye-bye.